everyone's like, oh my God, did you see it snowed on that mountain? Yeah,
Yeah.
so we're pretty fair-witted people over here. It's good. Yeah.
Okay, I see. Wow. Very good. Okay, we have 1 more minute and then we'll get started.
Awesome. Have you got this live on Facebook also, or?
I did. I just shared it over there. So we
I
are
love
starting
it.
on Facebook,
Mm.
and then later I will upload it to my YouTube channel as well. So
Oh wow, awesome.
we'll have
Okay.
you shared all over the internet.
Okay, love it. And if I get carried away or start talking too fast, just let me know, because I sometimes get a bit carried away and get talking in
Okay.
my New Zealand talk, and it's sometimes not very clear for
Sounds
everyone to
good.
hear.
Okay. That's all right. Well, I guess we might as well start now. Probably some will still join us in a little bit, but I'm going to just mute my dinger as I can hear it going off. All right, so thank you everyone for joining us and hopping on with us tonight. Tonight we have Kim all the way from New Zealand joining us. She is actually in New Zealand. So where she is, I guess it is 1 p.m. in the afternoon tomorrow already. She's ahead of us. So
I'm in the future, yeah.
you are the future. And I was so confused that we were trying to connect at a time. She was talking about Wednesday and I was talking about Tuesday. So, but good thing she helped me figure it out. So
we got there. We got there in the end. Absolutely.
That's right. We're here together in the end. So, yeah, well, thank you, everyone.
Awesome.
I'm going to hand it over to Kim, who is with the New Zealand Tourism Board, and she's going to share with us all about her home country, and hopefully we can learn some new things about New Zealand before we start planning our trip there. I know it's on my bucket list, and I bet it's on a few of yours as well. So there you go, Kim.
Awesome. Well, thank you. And thank you all for joining me. I was actually in Canada about mid-January this year, and it was very cold. I was like, oh gosh, how do they do it up here?
Where did you go? What part did you go to?
I was in Vancouver and Toronto and Calgary.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so midwinter, I've never experienced snow like that. So it was wonderful to see. I was like, do people go to work? Like, why do they do it? So
and
no,
that was
it was
before COVID. Now we should have weather in, for COVID, because then we'd be happy about doing that. But yeah, very
absolutely. Good. Yeah, so no, hey, thank you all for joining today. And it's just nice to connect and be able to keep, the New Zealand dream alive for a lot of you who do want to come and visit. When the time is right. So in today's presentation, I'm just going to talk a little bit about New Zealand, what it has to offer. There's a couple of videos in here which I like to think are quite, they help to show our culture, which is really important to New Zealanders. And I'll then touch on kind of a few major cities in New Zealand, or a few kind of more popular cities. And then we'll wrap it up with any questions you may have. So I'll get started. Well, Yep, that's my agenda. Why New Zealand, how to get around New Zealand, north and south, and any questions. Firstly, I'll introduce myself the traditional way. So in New Zealand, the Māori culture is very prominent, and we are very proud of that culture. And so I'll introduce myself, and then I'll explain what I've talked about, okay? So, kia ora koutou katoa, ko tarawera te maunga, ko roto e te roto, ko rotorua nui ahau. Ko magvika, tuku whānau, ko kim tuku ingoa. So what I just said is, in a way, explaining where I'm from. So I'm from Rotorua. My mountain on the top left is Mount Tarawera, and the lake that most resonates with me is the Lake Rotoiti on the right-hand side there. So that's just a way that we introduce ourselves, and if you understood Māori, you'd kind of be like, okay, I kind of think I know where you're from. So that's just a quick little intro for me. That's me on the bottom right. I think I was flying to Mount Tarawera. But you would have heard me start that conversation by saying kia ora. And kia ora is a very, it's a way of greeting in New Zealand. It's a way of saying hello, kia ora. It's a bit hard because you don't have to. You can say kia ora, but you try and roll your R. And this next little slide is a bit of a video which is going to kind of teach you the meaning behind that word and how it's used. So I hope you have volume at your end. If I press my buttons right, you should.
Kia ora.
Oh,
Kia ora.
I didn't press my buttons right.
Oh, it
One
sounds good. I
second.
can hear it.
Oh, you can hear it. Okay, that's
Yeah.
good because I can't.
all
Let
good.
me play.
Kia ora.
Kia ora.
When I say kia ora to somebody, it's an obvious acknowledgement to them. It is the hello for us in Māori.
Kia ora. Kia ora.
Kia ora. It's friendly. You've got no enemies here.
It's really important to acknowledge a person. By using the word kia ora, we acknowledge not just them, but everything about them. Where they come from, who they come from, and that's a big one, who they come from.
Kia ora, auntie. Kia ora, uncle. Kia ora, kia koe, bro.
Kia ora.
Kia ora.
Kia ora.
Kia ora.
I'm saying it on behalf of my family, past and present, and the community, welcoming you.
Once you get known, the phrases vary, the context varies, but the words are still the same.
Hey, kia ora, welcome on board.
We have a saying, he iti te kupu, nui te kōrero. And what they're saying is, although the word is only small, the meaning is great. You know, it's massive.
Kia ora.
Kia ora.
Kia ora. Kia ora to us means good health. As Māori, when we're born as kaitiaki, and kaitiaki means guardian. And we're guardians of the whenua, of the land, and guardians of people. It's the manaakitanga that you're going to give to the people. Manaakitanga means to be looked after. Our thing is to go above and beyond of looking after people, looking after the land.
Kia ora.
Kia ora.
Kia ora.
We don't get up and say what street we come from. We talk about our mountains, we talk about our rivers, our oceans. The world view we have, the land and everything upon it is our older sibling. For us, that's why we have so much respect for the land, for nature. That's why all our designs come from nature. It's that whole cycle, you know, it's that whole life force, that mauri, that order.
Kia ora is such a beautiful word. It's got such a wonderful meaning.
It comes from the heart. It's not just lip service, no matter who says it.
Have a go, be brave, say the word kia ora.
Kia ora.
Kia ora.
Kia ora. Kia ora.
Kia ora.
Awesome. So I hope you enjoyed that. And when you come to New Zealand, you'll have to throw out the word you learned, which was kia ora or kia ora. So that's it. I always like starting with that one because it's quite true to our culture, that video. And again, you also get to see some amazing landscapes, but I think what New Zealand is most proud of is its people. And there was a wide range of people there to see. So why New Zealand? So this actually, in particular, this harbour here, this is the Waitemata Harbour, and this is all going to plan. Next March, we will hold the America's Cup here, which is a sailing competition, which has been going on for years. And we're very stoked or happy that New Zealand won the America's Cup most recently, and that means we get to host it again. And so we're all really excited for that one to happen next March. So we offer a range of bespoke, authentic experiences, not all just luxury, a range for any type of visitor, however they want to experience New Zealand. We've got a range of diverse lodges and landscapes, and again, this is a bit of a blanket bay, which is one of the nicest luxury lodges in the country, but we do have a beautiful range of anywhere from a camping ground cabin through to a 3 or 4 star accommodation, through to glamping or tenting options or camping. So we really have everything, and a lot of those locations are set in some pretty unique landscapes. We have amazing people, a lot of people who love talking, like myself, and so a lot of people who embrace the culture, share the stories, find out where you're from, and how do you go to work and drive through the snow. Like, these snow tires are a new thing to us Kiwis over here, but we'll ask you all the questions because we're just interested about the people and why they want to come to our country at the bottom of the world here. And we have amazing natural playgrounds. I've spent about 4 years living in Whistler, and I kind of find a lot of similarities with Canadians and Kiwis. Just the ease and the way of being is quite similar. It's quite beautiful. So natural playgrounds like Canada has. Beautiful hikes, beautiful mountains, beautiful views, beautiful vistas, lakes, rivers, streams, ocean. We've got a lot of ocean in New Zealand, and we're very fortunate to have all of that. I'm just going to talk a little bit now. This is kind of, you know, in the pre-COVID world, and things have changed and things will change going forward. And the main one for North America is that there is a direct flight from Vancouver. And it's about a 14-hour flight, so it's a decent flight, but it departs in the evening, I want to say about 8 p.m, arrives into New Zealand, 6:30, 7 a.m. So it's a really beautiful, nice overnight flight, which kind of helps to break up the thought of sitting in a plane for 14 hours. So that's our main connectivity. Again, there's many options through the US, but again, just making a point that this is pre-COVID. And as we all know, this beautiful picture full of lines may change until we get back up on our feet, as the rest of the world obviously has over the last couple of months. Once you're in New Zealand though, it's easy peasy. You don't have to take your shoes off at the airport. It's awesome. The biggest flight that you'll have is from Auckland to Queenstown, 2 hours, and that's the longest flight in the country. Anywhere else is half an hour to an hour. It's all pretty easy flying times. Driving, you know, the main ways that visitors get around is flying and driving themselves, and that's driving a car, hiring a camper. Campers are huge for the Canadian market. We love that. You love getting out and about and experiencing New Zealand to its full, little round the corner and up that road, and what's that all about. So campers are a huge, a really awesome way to travel around the country also. It also allows you to kind of visit those places that you heard of, and you might miss out if you're in a different kind of bigger group. But yeah, flying, driving, we have a couple of trains, which I'll talk about shortly, and a ferry that connects the North and the South Island. When to visit? Oh, as I just said, our winter is not nearly as cool as yours. And so right now, it's a beautiful blue day. We have had some rain. Again, I think one of the things that New Zealand's known for is 4 seasons in one day in New Zealand. So always be prepared. We always encourage our visitors to pack a bag which has a hat, sunblock, a thermal, and a raincoat, because you just never know what's going to happen with the weather. But we're really fortunate. Our summers aren't too hot. We want to probably get to a high of about, sorry, that's all in, not in degrees for you, but we probably get to a high of 35 degrees. Yeah, a cold day in winter. Where I currently am, it's probably about 3 or 4 being the high. Down South Island, where we've got a lot more snow, you'll probably get down to -2 or 3, but never -10 is unknown for in New Zealand. And actually a couple of places in New Zealand it is, but yeah. So we're really beautiful, but also something to point out is New Zealanders love to travel in their own country, middle of summer. So often things are at a premium if you are traveling to New Zealand during our summer. So we really encourage you to visit on the shoulder season, so fall and spring, and the times where the weather's pretty settled and mild, and you don't have to wait in lines, or you don't have to have issues booking into somewhere you want to go due to no availability. So when to visit, again, it all really depends on your schedule. New Zealand's open all year, but it's just there are some times, depending on how active, or if you want to go to the beach and what that looks like, when you want to come. I'm going to pop in now. So pop in any questions you may have and I'll answer those. So I'm just going to touch a little bit more now about a few kind of iconic locations in the North and the South Island. So the North Island, which is where I currently am, I'm in the centre of the North Island. We're known for having a warmer climate, more people. We've got Auckland, which is a big city. Auckland is not the capital, Wellington is the capital, but Auckland has about 1.5 million people. Our total population in New Zealand is 5 million, so we're pretty small. And so when I go to Auckland, I'm like, oh my God, but it'll be a walk in the park for any of you. short drive time. You know, you'd go half an hour between small settlements or towns. You're never kind of out in the boonies, I think you call it. In New Zealand, we call it the wop wop. You're never too far from anywhere. You know, if you're in the centre of the North Island, you can drive an hour and a half each side of you and you'll be at the coast. You're never far from the coastline here. And lots of geothermal and volcanic scenery, which I'll explain a bit more about shortly. But we're just going to go up north. So Bay of Islands is what we call Northland. So it's north of Auckland. It's a beautiful, beautiful location, and it's full of culture. So the Treaty of Waitangi, which is kind of the settlement between the Māori people, the original settlers in New Zealand, and the English people who arrived via boat in 1840. And it's a very famous marae, which is the red structure in the picture there. That's called a marae. It's a very famous meeting site because that's where the settlement was decided and signed upon by the different groups, the different tribes, or iwis as we call. An iwi is a tribe. It's beautiful, lots of culture, lots of rich history, lots of beautiful coastline, as you can see in these images. And again, up here, you can do anything from sit on the beach to go walking, to go fishing or diving. It's a really special place for a lot of New Zealanders. And even a lot of New Zealanders haven't been there. It's some of them haven't, but it's beautiful. So you can fly from Auckland to Bay of Islands, or you can drive from about 3 hours from Auckland. And this is Auckland. This is our capital. This is the picture. This harbour on the right-hand side is where the yacht was, the image a few slides ago. But this is kind of the gateway to New Zealand. All the international flights from North America fly into Auckland. Again, 1.5 million people. So we think that's a massive town. A lot of you guys will be rolling your eyes at me going, I'll show you a big busy city. But it's a beautiful, beautiful town with lots to do. And the thing is, all those North American flights arrive in around 6 or 7 a.m. So you can kind of request an early check-in, go to your hotel, have a nap, and then spend the afternoon out and about checking out the city and what it's got to offer, which is a range of things, from sailing experiences to adventure things. These people here are on the Sky Tower, which is not similar, but is similar to your CN Tower in Toronto. And they'll be sailing down to the bottom, or rappelling down to the bottom there. Lots of great restaurants, wining and dining, shopping scene, a good place to get acclimatized to New Zealand on your first day. And as you can see in the distance of this image here, you'll see that tower, the Sky Tower, our pretend CN Tower. Where we are now in this image is on an island called Waiheke Island. And this is also how some people choose to spend their first day in New Zealand, by hopping off that plane, dropping their bags off, hopping on a ferry and going across and checking out the wineries that are only a 40-minute ferry away from Auckland from their hotel. So there's over 30 wineries on this island, and there's many transport places that will pick you up, drop you off. If you want to be a bit more adventurous, you can go zip lining, but it's a really beautiful way to kind of start your New Zealand trip. By getting out on the water, getting some fresh air after that big plane ride, and then sitting back and tucking into some New Zealand wine. Okay, I'm sure you've all heard of this one. So as we make our way down the North Island, we are about an hour and a half from Auckland right now. So this is Hobbiton, and we are very proud of Hobbiton. It's pretty amazing. So what happened is, when Peter Jackson first decided to film Lord of the Rings, he was in a helicopter and he was flying over all these paddocks and this farmland, and he spotted some nice hills to like the look of. And so helicopter landed, the farmer and his dogs came over and said, "What are you doing, mate?" And he goes, "Oh, I want to build a movie set here." And ever since then, the farmer said, "Okay, off you go. And can you leave the set there when you go, though, when you're finished?" And ever since then, Hobbiton's come to be. So it's an amazing experience. It's the standard experience is at an hour and a half. You walk around in a group of about 8 or 10 with a guide, and it's just amazing. It's amazing the small touches that they do to this site to make it feel like it's a live movie set. You know, you walk past the hobbit holes and there'll be smoke coming out of the chimney. There'll be clothes hanging on the line. They just do an amazing job at making it seem like you'll see a little Bobo Baggins running out the corner, a little hobbit running around. So it's really, really awesome. And it's a nice experience to kind of, if you are into the movies or the books, but actually even many people, when I was there a few months ago, many people in my group didn't even know what really Lord of the Rings was. And so it's an amazing experience. A bit further down, we are at Waitomo Caves. So Waitomo Caves is a big cave site in the hills in a part of New Zealand called Waikato. It's a very a spot known for farming and cows and sheep and all the things that people associate Kiwis with. But Waitomo Caves is a beautiful cave network with things called glowworms. So glowworms are the little star-like things you can see in the image there. And it's actually a little worm's bum. So it's the bottom of a worm, like being scared, and so it lights up. And that's what you see as the glowworm's bums. And so you can go on a boat tour, and no, you actually can't see their bums. It looks beautiful, and it looks like you're actually looking up at the stars. It's so lovely. So many ways to experience Waitomo. If you just want to cruise, you can hop on the boat and have a guide talk you through it. You can go through caves, like on the right-hand image. You get in a full wetsuit and you go walking through caves. You can go blackwater rafting. So the water in here is black because there's no light. So you get a big tide tube and there's rapids, and you go down the rapids in the tide tube all the time, looking at the light above you, which is the glowworms, which is pretty awesome experience. And kind of one of those things that you don't really find in many other places around the world, glowworms. They're pretty special to New Zealand. And finally, my hometown. This is Rotorua. So I'm very lucky to have grown up here, and seeing steam and geysers erupting is quite normal for me, whereas any visitor who turns up is a bit in shock at the amount of steam there is around the town. It's a really beautiful spot, and Rotorua is known for quite a few things. Strong culture. There's a few different cultural activities you can experience in Rotorua, which are all quite unique. But top in the country experiences to learn about New Zealand and the Māori culture. And they're also really interactive. You can hop on stage and try and do the haka. You'll have a traditional Māori hangi, which is a meal cooked in the ground. It's just a really awesome experience and great way to learn more. Geothermal and spa, as you can see, this picture on the bottom left is Kerosene Creek, and so that's it's actually a place you pull into the side of the road and go for a little hot swim. It's a bit of a secret little spot in Rotorua. We have got other places which are beautiful massage therapy locations or mud spas that you can physically soak in mud. Lots of adventure activities. You can go whitewater rafting. You can go stand-up paddleboarding. You can go luging, which is a little kind of a little sit-down go-kart, and you zoom your way down the hill. It's awesome. And again, lots of forests and lakes everywhere. So mountain biking, walking, so short walks from an hour through to a 5-hour walk if you decide to do something like that. So Rotorua has got a lot going on. And also nature. There's a lot of Kiwis. Kiwis in New Zealand, Kiwi birds. I'm a Kiwi, and the Kiwi birds are is our national bird. So a lot of awesome sustainability and restoration stories in Rotorua to learn more about Kiwis and how we protect our national bird. So, for any questions, or I'll keep on chatting away.
I have.
Yeah.
There is one question here for you, Kim. So far, what degree water, or how warm or cold would the water be on the North Island there that you showed us in the Bay of Islands?
Oh, Bay of Islands. Okay, so I want to say midsummer. I want to say the water's about 15 degrees. Like, it's nice. Okay. 15 to 20. So definitely beach, good beach weather. Yeah, actually the temperatures are pretty friendly at that time of the year. Right now, where I am right now, I'm probably like a minute from a lake, and the temperature in the lake right now would be about 8 degrees or 5 to 8. So never freezing, absolutely down south. A lot of snow fell and a lot of rivers coming straight up the mountains, definitely cold. But in general, during, summer and spring, it's pretty nice temperatures in general. We're very lucky.
Yeah. All right. If anyone else has any questions, please feel free to unmute yourself by clicking the little microphone icon on your screen. You can do that and just chime in. Otherwise, you can also find the chat box at the bottom of your screen and type in your question there if you'd rather just write it out, and we can ask as we go along. Right now,
Awesome.
there's no
South Island.
questions, so you can continue, and I'll chime in if something comes up.
Okay, awesome. So we're in the South Island now, and the South Island is kind of, it's very different to the North Island. They're both different islands, and so it's really hard to say, I'm going to go to New Zealand for 8 days and do the North and the South. Part of me wants to say, you need to really figure out what you want to do on that trip, and you need to, maybe you want to do culture. So you might go to Rotorua and geothermal, and then you might want to do more hiking and biking, and that might be more so in the South Island. It really depends. But again, a good chunk of time to spend in New Zealand, if you have the time, is more like 12 to 16 days. And I know that's a bit of a push for some people. So if you do have less time than that, I would highly recommend kind of, really dialing down what you want to do and choosing one of the islands to really focus on, because even though we look like a small island, when we are small, we're still the size of California. So there's still a bit of distance to be covered if you are driving, or if you're flying between. That can buy you a bit of time. But again, when you fly, which is a good way to travel, you sometimes miss out on some little gems around the corner. So the South Island, this is, I want to say the South Island is a lot bigger in mountains, nothing near as big as Canada, but bigger, more rugged, more kind of, rugged coastlines, as opposed to the North Island, which is all pretty beautiful sandy beaches. So we'll start, actually, I just contradicted myself because I'm going to show you Nelson. If I can click next, there we go. Nelson is actually an example of a beautiful sandy beach. So I did lie a little bit, but Nelson, Abel Tasman. So this is the top left-hand side of the South Island. It's a beautiful spot. It's Nelson, the city itself is a really kind of funky, vibrant city full of amazing farmers markets and breweries and wineries. And then about an hour from Nelson is a beautiful spot called Abel Tasman, which is one of our famous national parks. And the reason it's famous is because you can do a range of activities there. So you can paddle to different spots along this coastline and actually stay in accommodation sites as you go. So you could do Abel Tasman in 4 nights, for example. So you could walk one day, next day you kayak, the next day you get a boat to the next accommodation spot, and the next day they'll bring you all the way back. So again, for the active travelers, that's a beautiful way to experience that coastline. If you're not as active and you still want to check it out, you can hop on a boat, zoom up the coastline for lunch, come on back. And the Abel Tasman is again, I think it's one of those things for something for everybody in terms of a bit of activity, a bit of cruising back, and taking it all in. So this rock here is actually called Split Apple Rock. And it's a bit of a site to paddle to and have a little play around, and people sometimes, jump out of their boats and jump off into the water and go for a good swim there, because it's always nice and sheltered and just, stunning. Next, we're in Christchurch. So we've kind of moved our way down, halfway down the South Island. We're on the right-hand side on the coastline there. So Christchurch is a beautiful city, and it's got a lot of history and heritage to it. So it's amazing. Actually, for a few years ago, I want to say 6 or 7 years ago, Christchurch had a really big earthquake. It was devastating for the city, but what has been pretty amazing is how Christchurch and the community has bounced back and how they're doing now. It's just a beautiful, bustling, hustling town. There's still definitely remnants of the earthquake, and they're still working on actually kind of preserving some of those, because it's not something we want to forget. It's one of those things in New Zealand history, but also, playing true to what Christchurch is all about. So in Christchurch, you've got the coast on one side, and you've got the Alps, the snow in the distance. That's the Alps. Southern Alps that you can see in the middle, which basically divide the South Island from the east coast to the west coast of the South Island. So we're on the east coast in Christchurch. There's plenty of options to do when you're in Christchurch. You can go swimming with dolphins, as you can see here. You can go wildlife spotting, so looking for seals and all those kind of things. We do have a train system in New Zealand, and it goes a couple of places. So from Christchurch, you can hop on a train and go to the west coast, which takes you to places like Greymouth and Hokitika on the west coast of New Zealand. And the west coast is quite raw and rugged and beautiful because it's so different from any other coastline you've got in New Zealand. So it's something if you have the time, I highly recommend checking out the west coast. You go through some beautiful areas like Fox Glacier and Franz Josef, and they are beautiful. Again, it's kind of maybe quite similar to Canada in terms of glacier sites and locations that you can actually go and walk on ice, which may be I don't know, people seem to do things that they have at home because it's different in the different locations. So and actually going back to the train, the other location the train goes to is from Christchurch to Picton. So Picton is the very top of the South Island, and that's where the ferry connecting the north and the south arrives into. So the train's also a great way to split your journey up if you want to have a bit of a break from driving. The train trip also from Picton to Christchurch follows the east coast coastline, and you'll be in the train and you'll have water on your left-hand side, and you'll just see a pod of dolphins jumping, or you'll see whales jumping down the harbour side. And so it's a really beautiful, beautiful train ride for those people who like trains. It's not an overnighter. It's more of a day train experience. Unfortunately, we don't have overnight train experiences because our distances aren't as long as they are, for example, in Canada. Where are we now? Mount Cook. Mount Cook is beautiful. So again, our highest mountain in New Zealand is 3,700 meters. So pretty small in the grand scheme of things, but we'll still claim it. We'll still think we're pretty massive. And for Kiwis, because we don't have huge mountains, when we do go to Mount Cook, we're like, oh my gosh, look at that. So Mount Cook National Park, again, it's from Christchurch, I want to say it's about a 3-hour drive inland. And so you're kind of right in the center of the South Island here. And again, for people who want to do multiple activities, from walking to some people might want to do a helicopter trip and get dropped off at the glacier. Other people might just sit there and drink wine and look at the amazing view. There's many things to do. It's just one of those, it's a important place for New Zealand and that mountaineering scene there. There's also boat tours, which go on that, which actually are in the glacier lake, and you can kind of boat right up beside the huge glacier and learn about the history of the area and some ways that, you know, climate has affected what's happening, especially in this region also. So Mount Cook, for those of you who like hikes and big mountains and probably feeling quite close to home, this would be where you'd want to check out. Queenstown, bottom of the south. A lot of you probably would have heard of Queenstown. We call Queenstown our adventure capital. It is, but again, adventure, I think adventure is a really strong word here. I think the beauty of somewhere like Queenstown and Rotorua, for example, is they have a great mix of everything. So someone could want to go bungee jumping, or they might want to go and sit at a winery and drink wine, or having an amazing spa, or play around at golf, or go on a Lord of the Rings tour, or go shopping in the beautiful little town of Queenstown. So we do harp on about adventure capital, and there are plenty of adventurous things to do, but there's also equally, probably if not more, relaxing experiences and something for everybody. So it's definitely a beautiful spot, and it'll probably make you feel probably most close to home, because the mountains and the hills on the left hand, the bottom picture, midwinter actually right now are covered in snow. So when you fly into Queenstown in winter, if you do, it's just beautiful. And even summer, the lake's beautiful. People are swimming right in town there. It's a really kind of, like, what it reminds me of is Whistler, which is quite cobblestone streets. It's small. There's always something going on. There's always a busker playing music. It's always just kind of got a bit of a vibe going, which is really nice. Milford Sound. So Milford Sound and Fiordland is in the Milford is in the Fiordland National Park, which is about 2 hours below Queenstown, and is kind of on the very bottom edge of the South Island. Now it's an amazing heritage site for New Zealand, and it's a place in New Zealand where you won't get these kind of views anywhere else in New Zealand, where you can be in a boat kayaking and beside you are just massive, massive mountains and with waterfalls streaming down left, right and centre. It's really one of the most unique experiences you can have in New Zealand, because it's so, it's just, even New Zealand, it's like, oh my gosh, what is this? I've not experienced this anywhere else. And so again, it's kind of one of the, if you want to get out there and explore it, you can do it many ways. You can go kayaking, you can go on a bigger boat that holds about 80 people. You can go on an overnight cruise, which actually pops into the ocean. So you go over a lake into some sounds and you're in the ocean, and you kind of come back the other way. So it's just a kind of, I guess it's one of those bucket list experiences to tick off if you come to New Zealand. And I think that is my kind of overview. What I want to do though is just show you one more video. And it's kind of a video more relative to the current situation we are now, and just talking about, how we are in this in between. And as much as I love telling you about New Zealand, we're kind of facing this reality right now that it's not entirely possible, and we're in this grey space as to when it will be. So I just want to show you this little video, which has a beautiful message, and I hope you can hear it at your end. Let's hope that it plays. Oh, here we go.
What has changed? What stays the same? What matters to us now as people, as a country, as a planet? We have an opportunity to look with fresh eyes at the things we value and those we no longer need. To use this time to build a better future based on who we are and the values that we have. Respecting and welcoming every culture, Manaaki Manuhiri. Treating others like they're your family, whanaungatanga. Our duty of care to protect people and place. Te aki tāngata, te aki tāo. Because when you remember what's important, you're left with what's pure.
Yeah, so quite a nice message in that video, and that's kind of, I guess, just us saying to the world, we're here, we know it's all a bit strange, but we do want to see you back. But at the moment, we are in the in-between, as I think every possible country in the world is. So that's kind of the end of my presentation over a few of the key locations. Are there any more questions about what you may experience or things that I haven't covered?
Yeah, okay. So there are, I have a few here.
Yeah,
and,
cool.
And I just wanted to also add, for anyone thinking of going to visit New Zealand, one of the wonderful things about our relationship with New Zealand is that we don't need a visa to go visit. So that's kind of nice. Being Canadians, we just need I believe it's just an ETA. So it's something that we can apply for and get right away. So,
yeah, it's a really simple process online to apply for an ETA, which is a visa, which is not a visa, but allowance into the country, and all the money that goes from that goes back into the environment, so back into the walking tracks and the hiking tracks. And
yeah, okay. Yeah. So one question we have is, how long is the ferry from the North Island to the South Island?
Awesome. So it's about a 3.5-hour ferry. It's really beautiful. About 2 hours of it is pretty much open water, and the last hour and a half is kind of in fjords, and either side you're coming down an area called the Queen Charlotte Sounds, and so it's beautiful sounds. Sometimes you see dolphins or seals, but yeah, a 3.5-hour ferry.
Okay, and are you allowed to take your campers and your car rentals from the North Island to the South Island?
Yeah, absolutely can. That's a really popular thing to do. Campers, absolutely. sometimes depending on the car rental agency, sometimes you might leave your car in Wellington and hop on the ferry, and on the other side, grab another car. Some depending on who you book with, but campers, because there's a lot of things in campers, absolutely. You pick it up in Auckland, you leave it in Queenstown, and you might fly back to Auckland to fly out, if that's how you plan your trip.
Okay. Are there any other questions? I think those are the main ones that I had come through. I don't see any others in the chat box right now, but feel free to.
And I'll just give a little update in terms of COVID. So currently, as we all know, unfortunately, our borders are closed to non-New Zealand nationals. But as a country, we're doing pretty amazingly. We have, at our highest, we had around 1,500, oh, I want to say actually, no, sorry, 1,100 cases. We unfortunately had 21 deaths. But this past week, we have had 0 new cases for the past 7 days. And so everything happened pretty hard and fast in New Zealand. You know, the borders are closed. We went into lockdown for 5 weeks. And we are kind of over the last 2, 3 or 4 weeks, it's become a bit looser. But I think as a country, we're just really proud of how we've kind of come together and actually done things right. And so, and again, I think it's all, you know, we love our international visitors, but I think in this current climate, as every country, you kind of think of number one, which is your country. And so, yeah, the hard work that we've done now is definitely going to pay off in the long term. In the position we are in.
Yeah, there was talk about New Zealand and Australia opening up to each other.
Yeah,
and that come to light yet?
Yeah, so it hasn't happened yet, but there's plenty of talks. We're talking about having a trans-Tasman bubble, which would include ourselves, Australia, and the Pacific Islands, which would be amazing. Australia is also doing really well, and the Pacific Islands have had very low numbers of cases. And so that, I think that will happen. I think that will happen in about 2 months or so. I think the thing is, once each of those borders open, we've got to be really mindful of who else is coming into those countries. But again, for tourism and keeping all our operators alive and busy, having Australia come and visit, and also vice versa, Kiwis go and visit Australia is going to be hugely beneficial in the coming months before we can open our borders to the wider world.
Right. Yeah. Well, we hope it doesn't take too long and
that
we can start looking at traveling to your country in the fall, perhaps winter. But yeah, I just want to thank you for taking the time out of your day to share your beautiful country with us. It's much appreciated. And I want to also thank everyone else on the call with us and those joining us live on Facebook. Thank you, everyone. And yeah, thank you, Kim, so much.
That's
we
all right.
Appreciate it.
That is fine. And if there's any questions that come later on, just let me know and I'll happily answer those for you. But yeah, thank you all for taking the time to hear more about New Zealand. And we can't wait to have you here one day.
Yeah, we look forward to it, that's for sure. And I just want to put a little plug in there too for Thursday night Travel Talk. We are going to be talking with Veronica at 7 p.m. Thursday evening about Sandoz Resorts. They are a all-inclusive resort chain that is in Mexico as well as in Spain. And so feel free to sign up for that one as well. It should be coming to your inbox right away, probably Wednesday evening. So if you have any questions though on New Zealand, I'll be happy to answer them. And as well, if I can't answer them, I will be reaching out to Kim. So thanks again, everyone. Have a wonderful evening and have a good rest of your day, Kim.
See you.
Happy Wednesday.
Thank you. Happy Tuesday. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.